When I was thinking of starting this organization, I was hounding him the whole time, and then we finally met in Wanda in
1991.
Yeah, somewhere around
Something
there.
like that, yeah.
So we go back a long way, and Keith is like, I want to be like Keith when I grow up. Yeah.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Really beautiful film.
Thank you.
And when Mayan talks about the journey that is, for her to have been doing this consistently for so many years, it's incredible. 32 years. It's unbelievable. And of course, for you, thank you. For your first feature film, and you edit it, and it's premiering in a festival. Who does that? Who does that? Nobody's ever done that as far as I can remember. Just what I mean? I think that, for me, it's quite incredible work and achievement. One of the things that I saw the film, this is my first time for us to meet, what I realized about the story has always been my fascination about Nigeria, or particularly Lagos, right? I was born in Zimbabwe, come from a small, really boring, sleepy city of Harare. Nothing happens there. Our food is bland, nothing absolutely is not particularly, no spice food, nothing like that. But you see, when I first went to Lagos, I just found this kind of city that has got a character about itself. It reminded me about filmmakers who've made films about their cities. Maybe here Spike Lee, in Brooklyn with Do the Right Thing, perhaps. And of course, I think Andrew Dosun from Nigeria, but he also made the film in New York, Restless City, but it's in Harlem. You can see the kind of vibrancy of those kind of parts of New York. And to have the courage for you, I'm coming with a question, the courage to negotiate Lagos is very heavy. It's a big, in its own character, because you give the vibrancy of that, and then telling stories about people who live in it. Can you just perhaps tell me how you came up with the concept?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think I must first say this film showing here or finding a home here is very interesting, because it's a really African thing. The film was touched by several countries in Africa. From the sound design done in Uganda to some of our actors from South Africa, some of our people from Congo. We had several people touch this film, and that is still happening as we go along. And it being in the African Festival right here is very interesting, and I really do love that. And I appreciate everyone for seeing the film and enjoying it. How we came about the film is really came about the film from the final part of the film. Every single thing that happened in this film is a real story that has happened, is happening, and will most probably still be happening or still happen. We came about the film from an article. Blessing Uzi, who is also the writer and the producer of the film, found an article about treat first, police report after. And then, because we had people protesting about the fact that you could treat people first, then ask for the report after. And then thought that was really interesting that this still happens still. We shot this film in Sabaka like 2022. This still happens in this time. What do we do about it? Nothing. But how can we talk about it? Then we came up with a short film about it. And we were about to go on production of a short film, and we stared at the script for such a long time. And then she came up to me one day and said, I think we should make a feature. And I was like, hell no. And I think that was majorly out of my own fear, particularly. I've made a couple of short films that I never did anything with. I just kind of shelved them in drives and keep them. And that's because I thought I was still learning, I was still growing. Why do I want to do that to myself and make something that is not good enough and put out there? And she was like, whether you like it or not, it's going to be a feature, and you're going to direct it. And I think like 4 or 5 weeks passed, we didn't speak about it, and she sent me a script and said, that's it. And from then on, it was like, the DP was the one where I was like, Leko, I think you have to do this. And then we went back and forth on it for a couple of weeks, and then we said, okay, I think I can really do this. Then we just, from that moment till now, has been wanted. This film was initially called a different title. It was called No Way Out. And the reason was, and we changed the title because as Nigerians, we get very superstitious. The film really had no way out. Every single angle we turned, every single thing we wanted to do, we had no way out.
Yeah.
There was, nothing was happening. Like, we tried to do something, it doesn't work out, tried to do it, doesn't work out, and then we tried to change the title of the film. We ended up shooting the film twice because of that. But yeah, I'm glad we really invested our time in it, and
So what's the choice of, why this title?
This title, interestingly, for 2 reasons. One, like I said, as superstitious as we got, we were driving one day, we were like, we call it freedom, maybe then we'll be free from all of these problems. And then the second reason mostly is because myself, I've been a victim of police brutality a couple of times in Nigeria, in Lagos especially. And there's a particular place in Lagos, in Lekki, it's a long stretch of road and it's called Freedom Way. And this happens there every night. If you go to Nigeria right now, if I think it's in Lagos right now, Freedom Way is happening right now as we speak. Always happening there, and I don't think there's anything anybody can do to stop that. It's currently happening right now. So we're like, funny enough, we're driving along the road that kind of led towards Freedom. We're like, we could just name this Freedom Way. It already happens. They're like, yeah, that's such a good title. And that's how we ended up with Freedom Way.
Well, the other thing is that I was going to ask you is the, development of the script. You said blessing with the idea.
Yeah.
You have all these kind of converging characters just going by coincidence that they just happen to be one of, come up with the very fantastic story. How what's your contribution into that process?
Yeah, like I said, we had an article that led us to this point. And we had another article about the ban of motorcycles in Lagos. And I think we now had different topics. And then she was like, okay, how can we merge all of these topics together to make it into a story? Which is that's why we ended up with the short film idea. But then I think she felt like, as a short film, there's too much topic to cover in the short film. And it's going to feel like we're cramping it into one thing. And we can as well stretch it out and make it an entire thing. And for the characters intertwining and everybody's lives intertwining together came from a place because one of our main characters, Debo, people that know him, is a comedian, Mr. Macaroni. He's a social media comedian. And
the father, you mean?
Yeah, the father. He played Abiola.
Yeah.
He's a really known activist as well in Nigeria, against police brutality, anything about the government, saying something, you always find him there. And he's obsessed with the idea that whatever it is we do in life, we always connect. Whatever it is you do, whichever way you think about it, one way or the other would affect me. It might be at the far end of the world, one way or the other it will affect someone else. And because we talk about all of these things from time to time, and it's one of the ideas that came up when we were actually about to film it. Because we had a separate script before we started filming. And then about the film, that was a really good idea. Then we decided to change a couple of things and make every single character very well connected. Yeah. This is why we ended up with very...
But also the aftermath. One of the issues I kept on asking myself, the courage to make such a film, because most of the countries, those type of films will be banned. I remember talking to Suleiman Cisse here in New York, and Suleiman Cisse from Mali, he was the veteran of African cinema. He passed away. In fact, the last time I saw him, he was here. And we're talking about censorship in African storytelling, not only in film, but also in literature. But this is kind of daylight, kind of attacking all the kind of corruption, the police force, the kind of whoever, you don't have any mercy on anybody, I think. So how do you approach it? Do you screen this film in Nigeria, for example, or do you have any tell me what happens to those authorities, the people you actually attack like that?
We haven't gotten there yet. I don't think at the time I didn't think about it when we were about to make this film. I didn't think about it, and I remember specifically the police uniforms. The Nigerian police uniforms is black on black. Just very special occasions where they have the grey on black. And then day one on set, we had several policemen all dressed in black on black. And then I was not on set yet, and the wardrobe calls me and like, we can't do this. We have to change the uniforms. I'm like, why? She's like, we're gonna have a problem later on because the uniforms. I'm like, I don't care. Let's shoot it. And Blessing's like, oh, you care? We are not doing that. And then we ended up changing the uniforms to grey and black. And then, I don't know if you catch it at some point, in Nigerian, it's supposed to be NPF, which is Nigerian Police Force. I just didn't know what changed to LPF, which is like Lakon's Police Force, I guess.
Yeah.
So we just kind of like randomly just change things around. But then when it comes to censorship of particular things in the film entirely, we haven't gotten there yet because the film is not out in Nigeria. And they haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping it could get there where it causes a conversation, because I don't want to see controversy, but it causes a conversation and it forces people to actually talk about stuff. Because I'm really looking forward to someone banning the film and say, yo, we'll place a ban on this film because you're criticizing us. And then you have to explain to people why you're banning the film.
Yeah.
So maybe then it actually forces us to have a conversation. So yeah, like I said, we haven't gotten there yet. Maybe when we do, we can have the conversation again.
But also, I'm always noticing every time I go to Lagos, it's kind of like a city divided, the mainland and the island.
Yeah.
And then you have, which really is perhaps about this kind of transport, transportation takes you like 2 hours or 3 hours to have a meeting with somebody from one side or the other. And of course, you said something about how important it is to improve the transport for those to appeal to those business men and women who are coming who want to go to the airport, but they are the ones who are really making it a problem for you.
Yeah.
I'm always very interested to figure out. I want to know, would you ever consider to make a film on the other side, on the island? Because the story is mainly based on this side. Would you ever kind of try to cross the bridge,
Well, I haven't thought about it. But the other side, I think to make a film from the other side, I need a lot of context, in the sense that I grew up on the mainland of Lagos.
On the mainland?
Yes,
Yeah.
and mainland of Lagos is I don't know if I'd say how much downtown can get, it's how much the ghetto can get.
Yeah.
It's rough every day out there. And then you learn things, you see things, and sometimes you can't comprehend what you're really looking at. And then to make a film from the other perspective, which is from the island, since I started making films, I've now moved to the island, and I see things from outside. I'm like, oh, I see how they see people on the mainland. So that's why this kind of film can be made. But then making a film from that perspective is a different ballgame.
Yeah.
Because most of the films we have out of Nigeria that makes film from the island perspective is a lot of comedy. It's a lot of glamour. It's a lot of the big killings and the wedding parties and all of that. To make a film that is in a way controversial from the other side would be a lot more intricate, to say the least. And it's something worth looking at, but personally I haven't thought about it.
Yeah.
But just maybe one day, maybe when someone is interested and says, "Lekon, let's make a film from this perspective," or just maybe then we'll look at that.
Also, for my other curiosity, because I always wonder, where do you get your inspiration from You know, I mean, because I know you've been, I mean, what I just read, of course, just now, that you came from making stories either, you know, through video or music videos, and but do you ever watch other people's films in Nigeria or elsewhere? And where do you get your inspiration from making films?
Yeah, I'm a very visual person, so I used to be the content director for one of the biggest labels out of Africa, which is Maven Records,
Right.
for about like 6 years. So my time in Maven, in the record label, was basically creating perspective for artists, creating an image for the artist.
Right.
You know, we see artists like Rema, Irasta, big names that we hear out here, and so it's really myself and my team trying to create an image for these guys that can create a perspective for the audience. How can we sell them best? So I think it's from that kind of perspective, from that level, I always look at storytelling as, because everybody's life is a story. How can we create a story out of your life to essentially make money? That was it then. But then I made a couple of music videos, commercials, all of that bit. But with films, what my inspiration comes from film specifically, interestingly, is from music. Before we made this film, I think every single short list I have probably came from a lyric I heard somewhere. There's a particular scene in the film. The first time we see Abiola's character in the film, we see a Bible.
Yeah.
If you remember, we see a Bible in the shot. And then the first time it's flipped to the other side when he becomes a policeman. He changes it and now he puts money in the same spot. That's from a song from Ladipo that I remembered on set. That went something like, money becomes bigger than God. And then when people begin to make money, it becomes bigger than God to you, because now a lot of people, when you start your life, you go to church every single day, you're praying fervently. As Africans, you know, you are crazy about these prayers and you want God to bless you. And then when you finally make the money you're looking for, you kind of forget about that. Like, what are you praying for anymore? Then now you're paying a lot of money. So that's pretty much like, and that happens a couple of times in the film as well. And that's pretty much where I get inspiration from. It's a lot of music I listen to. I listen to all kind of music. So it could be from Iran. A lot of songs in the film are South African songs. I listen to a lot of South African music. So
Which is quite interesting, I mean, because I'm always wonder, I mean, because as we talk about, you know, the so-called Nollywood, if you like, you know, it comes out of nowhere, came from nowhere. I mean, suddenly you're creating your own understanding, your own, you know, creating your own vocabulary and form, and which is only people who live from that part of the world, creating their own audiovisual grammar about cinema. And for the first time, I'm sure that you know that for the first time, after so many years, Khan has accepted one film from Nigeria. You know, and then of course there's a huge delegation going to Khan to represent Nigeria, you know, in Khan this next week or so. So, talking about form, I mean, I'm, you know, quite rightly, because I could sense that there must be something coming from music, because so much heavy on music. You make us stop to make sure, paying attention when you introduce the tracks that you use. That is it the kind of what you're going to be doing in the future when you're making a film? They're going to sometimes. Do you think that sometimes you might want to tone down about music a little bit? And I don't know. I'm not sort of critical.
I don't think so. I think because I think from a very young age I've always had, like, my dad used to have like a lot of cassette tapes, like was a lot of them. Like probably had over like 3,000 cassette tapes for like different genres of music.
Right.
And I still have some of them to date. So like kind of having all this music and listening to all of that music. In fact, there's one of those songs back from like the early 90s that's in the film. Definitely it's not a film that anyone here will probably know, but it's a Yoruba song that's it's a very old Yoruba song. And I remember the song while making the film, and it's something that talks about a lot of struggle and hustle and stuff like that. And I just kind of like put it in there where, you know, where we see Abiola riding the bike and he's hustling, and just kind of threw it in there but I don't think music would ever Because music for me is I'd rather leave the film and focus on the music. Music is quite important in this.
Sorry, I'm just taking too much time, by the way. Like any question anyone wants to?
I want to say something.
Yeah, somebody was going to rope him. Somebody from the back.
Hello, thank you so much. That was an excellent film. I'm really curious about the Afolabi character, and I just wanted to ask a question. Maybe you could flesh this out a little bit. We see him at the beginning being a victim of the corruption within the police force, and then we later see him becoming the perpetrator. And as you were kind of writing that character out and really kind of going through the arc of this character, I'm just kind of interested in how you decided, you wanted to show this progression for this character.
I think, from the perspective as a Nigerian who lives in Nigeria day to day, it's something I hear constantly from people. It's a very weird thing. But you hear people say, I don't want to be the oppressed, I want to be the oppressor. And that is not from a place of I want to trample on people. No, it's a case of I want to go from having $10 in my account to having $1 million so that I can just tell everybody, for lack of a better word, fuck off. So that him switching his character comes from a place of the fact that you experience so much stuff from the level that you are at, and then you get this little opportunity that just tells you, come and taste the better life. And then it challenges your morals in different sets, and there's certain people that are not strong enough to really fight that. And they end up just becoming victims of circumstances and just say, I'm just going to try this. Some people might say, I'll try this out for a few, let me just try this for a few weeks and see what happens. And he ends up that becomes their entire life. And by the way, that's the truth, and it happens in Nigeria, where a lot of policemen are not actually hired by the state of the country. They are hired by fellow policemen. And when we see them, we know them.
Yeah. I think lady here in green. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Cassandra Goins, and I'm a retired music industry executive. And throughout the film, it was the music that really spoke to me, and I started thinking about a producer I know in Nigeria. So I was really delighted at the end to see that Cobhams was involved in this game. And as I was watching the movie, I was thinking to myself that it sounded like music that Cobhams would have produced or sung, and I saw that he was not only the music, he composed some of the songs, and I lived in South Africa for 10 years, and I recognized the sounds of South Africa in it as well. But I'm wondering how, because I think I saw Cobhams as an executive producer, how involved was he in the film? Because I absolutely love him, and I don't know how many people in here know who he is, but he's a brilliant, wonderful, blind producer. And he's really not blind, because I've never seen anybody who can visually see a song, and see music and put it in, and produce what he does, because his hand was all over this film. And I'm just interested how that came about.
Well, yeah, thank you so much. Cobhams, yes. Also, I also don't read Cobhams blind.
Yeah, I don't think it's fun.
Yeah. Whenever we sit together to talk about music stuff or create music stuff, he does things and I'm like, how is that happening? But then you can really kind of explain these things. With the music, I think because I kind of had a specific vision of how I wanted the music to be, and as a producer, as a very seasoned producer that he is, he could hear that and understand exactly what I was going for in music. A lot of the music that we have is stuff that I call the artist prior and just recorded a demo with the artist. With on a phone or a laptop, and just recorded a demo and just took it to him and said, I have this and I'm making a song for the film. And it's like, don't even touch it, it's perfect. And instead of recording the music, we just create an instrumental from scratch and just do something. I'm like, how? And then the final song of the film was the vocals from Tim Dakoro. Do you remember
I know
that?
that was
Yeah, yeah, Timmy Dakolo. And because it was one day in Kobam's house, and because Timmy has an amazing voice,
Yeah.
and Kobam thought it would be an amazing way to have the final song, and just recorded that. And I went in like 2 days after I recorded it, and because I didn't want to be when it was being recorded, because I was like, I want to be surprised when I hear it.
So I can do a soundtrack.
Oh, that's coming.
Yeah,
Oh, definitely, that's coming. We have a lot more songs that are not in the film.
I
that
was
would be in
thinking
the
that there's
definite
probably some great stuff.
Yeah. Thank you so
Good.
much.
I'm so sorry. Do you have time for 2 more questions? The lady at the back there, and then yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Hi, art is a form of resistance, so thank you so much for telling the Nigeria story through this film. I noticed that in the final scene, it was a shot of the Lake toll gate, and for people who don't know, that was like the symbol of the 2020 massacre and the scene of the atrocities that framed the NSAS protest. So I'm wondering whether that was intentional or whether that just happened by coincidence, because I thought it was a perfect fit and an ending to the film. Thank you.
Someone noticed. Yeah, I think every single person that was involved in this film tried to make me not put that shot in there. And I'm not very active on social media per se, like I won't always be an activist and talk about stuff in that sense. But then it felt very appropriate for the film itself to have something like that. And I didn't know where to put it, where to talk about it, because it's a broad topic that you can't just talk about someone in the middle of the film and cancel rights. So, and it's also not, we also don't have the time to tell the story about it, because yeah, it's a very difficult topic to talk about. So it was just something very, just to kind of shed the light on it and just say, okay, here is something from that. It's a really long shot, and I had to make sure it ended up at Tokyo, because people that know the story, like you know the story, people definitely pick that up, and I'm glad at least pick that up. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Samir. I'm from Egypt. I want to thank you for the film. I imagine it's not easy at all to make a film like this, and I really like the courage, and it's very nice to see that the film is finally here. I was very curious about the casting and working with actors. My question is, are they professional actors, or some of them are first time? Because we have a lot of actors in the film, and I imagine it's probably very not so easy to work with all of that for the first time. And yeah, I just want to know more about this and directing actors and that.
Thank you so much. The actors, I think from the first time kind of like got the script, I had a couple of actors in mind, and I deliberated with the producer and everyone involved, and we laid down a couple of names. I said, okay, we want all of these guys to be in the film, or very popular names, very popular guys in Nigeria. And we got on sets and we shot for 15 days. And after what I told Blessing, I said, I don't think it's working. And she agreed with me. Not because of the acting, but just because of the synergy with the actors. For me personally, with some actors and performances, it kind of sticks out when you see them. And then a lot of people in Nigeria don't want to see the truth when they see it. They're like, okay, they just write it. I'm like, I take so much pride in my work that I don't want to see this film afterwards and hate it. And we sat on it for about 2 months, and we said, okay, yeah, we agree, it doesn't feel great. So we casted a lot of actors, and we shot the film. And some of the actors we currently have are first-time actors. Ogaranya, who played Tayo, is a first-time actor. Michael Farris is a popular actor in Nigeria. Jesus Ubele, who played Temba, is from South Africa, is quite popular in South Africa. Macaroni, who is a comedian, at the time hasn't done a lot of films. I've probably done like 1 or 2 comedy here and there. And this was kind of like the first serious film he was doing. So it was easy to work with him on set because he saw the vision and he was interested in making something that serious based on the fact that it's a topic he talks about a lot. So yeah, it was quite a very interesting period. Also, by this it was a very bold decision to start that myself, and even for blessing and the other executive producers to say, okay, we agree with you, let's do this again. And yeah, I'm glad we did that because yeah, I guess we are here now, so I guess the show that worked.
I just thought that we have no time left. Thank you so much, really.
Thank you so
much. Thank you for having us.